Because we only have one more speaker, and it's going to be a fantastic talk. The last speaker of the day, he's going to talk to us. We've spoken a lot about design today, the value of design. We've heard about how our designers have to be coders in a lot of organizations. The designers have to go straight to code. But what about the opposite direction? How do we get regular people to do design? And so I think this is going to be a fascinating talk. So from Velvet Creative Alliance, please welcome to the stage Amit Moradganjeh. Sorry for mispronouncing your name, I apologize.
Hi everyone, my name is Amit. Today, I'm not here to talk about how cool designers are, even though some of them are really cool. I'm also not here to talk about the cool things that I've designed. I've actually designed some cooler stuff. But I'm actually waiting for the thing that I can actually go to the next slide. Okay, you got it here. Thanks. I'm here today to talk about designers. Not many of us know what designers do, who they are, where they come from, why we need to have them, and why do we even need to pay them. By the way, I'm a designer myself. So when it comes to design, we need to consider two things: the thinking and the skills. We have always been designers. In fact, we have created amazing things. Look at this bicycle. People who came up with this brilliant idea were real designers because they came up with a solution that added value to people's life. But when it comes to skills, things have changed a little bit, especially in the past 20 years. We have had information technology coming in and has been advanced at a very fast pace. When we think of design, we have to deal with a lot of skills. Like today, you need to have a UX designer, a researcher, a brand designer, visual designer, lots of other, kind of designers to help you develop a product. So the skills have become much bigger. Look at this example. This is a car from 70s. This is another one from 2015. Well, in terms of skills, things have changed. You have more sophisticated surfaces, and you have all this technology that goes into that needs to be designed. But the thinking is still the same. You have this thing that you put on 4 wheels and has an engine, and that's pretty much what it is. So design has become more about skills. And you know what that means. We have given design to people who know how to use tools. And we are kind of afraid to design things ourselves because we don't have their skills. Something else has happened to design, and that was the information technology and how it has shaped our world, especially after the 90s. We used to look at products as objects. But today, our products are more of an event. Simply because back then we had to think of the form, function, maybe ergonomy, but today we really have to think of the behavioral quality of our products. We need to think of people, society, interaction between them, systems. Things have become much more sophisticated. There was a time that computer scientists realized that they need to go into design because they had to deal with a lot of things that information technology made it possible for them to do. That was when designers missed the train. Maybe because they were sitting somewhere designing some poster. But computer scientists came in and take on design, and they created this human-computer interaction design as a field, which is a very scientific look into design. Which is very good because they created defining these new rules, patterns. They wrote books about how you should design and how design actually should be. And many of us used that, which was kind of useful. They even went into the details, defining all these, scientific approaches to design, which again, it was kind of useful. But the reality is that there is only one rule for design, and that is there is no rule for design. We have created all these, complicated rules and methods for design, which has made design a kind of a scary thing. And it has lost its own meaning. So designers who used to design posters realized that they're not making much money because things have changed. So they decided to join the team and come into digital product design. When they came in, design was already shaped by computer scientists. That's why they came in and they added up on what was already there. So they came up with terms like UX. No offense if you're a UX designer. We even started, forming things like UI. And we even went to the details, and we started thinking, how to make things usable, forgetting that things should be useful as well. So this is our fault as designers. We have made things very complicated. When you look at design process, it's kind of scary. You have to go through all these steps in order to come up with an innovative idea. Well, not really. This is more like a way to sell design so we can make actually some money, because otherwise we wouldn't have any job. I want to encourage you to think of design as a way of thinking. Design is nothing really special. It's just a way of thinking. And we all actually have that thinking inside us. So design, in fact, is much more important to be left to designers. That's why we need more people to learn about design, the way of thinking that designers use, and apply that to daily challenges and different things happening today in our world. Because we believe anyone can be a designer. So me and Janno Simal at Velvet decided that based on this thinking that anyone can be a designer, we should actually teach design to non-designers and see what happens. So we have started Velvet Academy. It was an idea almost a year ago. We put up a website out there, and we announced that we are here to teach you design. You don't have to be a designer. You can join us. We teach you how to design things or how to think like designers, and you're not going to pay anything. It was a free course. It was like 4 weeks course that me and Janno did. So it was kind of interesting. The first session, we didn't know what is going to happen. We are introducing design to a bunch of people that have no idea what design is. So we focused on the thinking. The first batch kind of graduated, was kind of successful. We did the second batch so we can learn how we can actually communicate design to non-designers. We even did the third batch. Okay, we made a few screws up, but more than a few. But we learned a lot of things when it comes to making non-designers familiar with the way designers think. I'm going to share with you some of the things that we learned. So, all of us already know what design thinking is. There's something inside us that has this kind of creative approach. Just because you're not working as a designer, that doesn't mean you don't know how that works. Basically, you need just to be introduced to it. And it would be much easier for you if someone triggers that introduction, comes in and tells you about that thinking. This is one of our sessions. There was a designer from Twitter who was visiting here. She was talking to our team about, or students about, how they do design research at Twitter. What was interesting to us was that everyone got her. It wasn't anything like complicated. Everyone quickly connected with her and understood what it means to do user research, why we need to think of people, things that designers do, even though these people have different backgrounds. The other thing we learned was that if you want to teach design to non-designers, you need to make people do things. Well, design is not like science. It's not like mathematics that you can come up with formulas or define some kind of, process or those kind of even principles for it. Design is something that you need to learn by doing. So we made our students to do things in the course. And we encourage them to do crazy things, whatever that it takes for them to learn about the way designers think. The other thing that we learned was that creativity is a skill. I know some of you think that you are not creative. It's totally fine. We are all creative. There is something inside us that sometimes, some of us, when we were a child, something happened to us, and we switched on this creativity. But some of us haven't had the chance to come out and, exercise their own creativity. But the way you learn driving, anyone can learn how to drive. Creativity is the same. You can actually learn how to be creative. And this is actually what we have been trying to teach the Velvet Academy students, giving them the confidence that they can be creative, and they are the ones who can come up with good ideas. This is one of the exercises. We asked them to sketch some kind of service product, and they came up with very interesting human drawings, which was, for us, kind of nice, because you see, these people never draw anything, and when we asked them for the first time to draw things, they managed to do that, which is very beautiful, kind of. The other thing is that people really understand the value of design. You work as developers, maybe designers, maybe product managers. There is something about that design approach that if you experience it, you understand its value. Why are we not using design thinking in our everyday, life or like business challenges? Because we haven't practiced it. We haven't had the chance to exercise it. If you do it, you realize that there is something in there. It is not very tangible. You have to feel it. But because it is just a way of thinking, an approach, when you practice it, you learn the value. When we ask our I call them students, even though they are like teammates. When we asked the team to come up with crazy ideas, because we had this brainstorming, a lot of people were really scared because they didn't know, oh, I have this really crazy idea, but I'm not sure if I should express it. But we actually encouraged them to do that. And they learned that by expressing their crazy ideas, they can actually come up with a very practical, innovative solution. But today, we have issues working with designers, and I have to deal with that every day myself as well. Let's go through some of the issues and see if we connect with them, because we have been thinking of some solutions that maybe would be useful next time that you have to deal with designers. I don't have to explain this slide. A designer comes to you, your first reaction is like, this doesn't make sense. It happens like 95% probably. So I have done that myself. I spent half a year working on a product, a mobile app that never made it out. And I worked with developers. I went into details, like being a designer, doing things perfectly. But the developers never actually told me that your idea is crap, it's not going to work. And I was totally lost. That's why I learned that designers should not make the final decisions. I know some designers are really pissed now, but that's fine. That's the reality. The other thing is that sometimes you say, hey, we hired the best designer, but, well, you don't hire designers, you work with them. Designers are like team members, they are facilitators that have some skills, and they know actually how to think like designers. So basically, forget about hiring designers and hoping that even if you hire the best designer, you would have a really good product that would make you a millionaire, maybe. This is one of the work sessions that I had when I was at a design agency called IDEO. We were working with a car company that hired us to come up with new ideas for them for the driving experience. Well, half of the people sitting here are from that company because we work with them. At least we organize sessions where we can actually sit together and make the important decisions together. Because designers, I shouldn't say that, I wouldn't say it. Okay, you get a design kind of proposal from a designer, and then you don't know how to say yes or no. I have done that myself recently. I was helping a startup. I made this page and sent it to them, and they were kind of, didn't know what to say because they were confused. They're like, oh, should I tell you if I like the colors, or this is a wireframe, or should I tell you maybe you should change that logo? Things that are very shallow. Well, designer's job is to create as many options as possible, so it would be easier to make decisions. That's what I did. I didn't send this to them, but this is how organized I am when I am doing like kind of design, because I don't want to have any structure. But I sent them like 5 different options. Then it was easier for them to decide which one they want to choose. It wasn't about yes or no. It was more about, hey, I like this about this design. I don't like that, and maybe this one could be a little bit better. But then it would be much easier to make that decision for designer and for them. Of course, on purpose, as a designer, it is better to include some really bad ideas next to like good ideas to make it stand out. And I do that myself to make the client happy and say, oh yeah, this one is the best. I'm gonna like pay you now for the next installment, and you move on. I hope none of our clients are here. That's fine. So there's another problem that we hear a lot. We talked about not being able to find good designers. Well, to be honest, I was just searching yesterday to find some random portfolio. I found this guy. I don't know if he's who he is, but I hope he's a good designer. But it was kind of interesting how designers present themselves, with these glasses, kind of a stylish, and it's cool, creative, UX, UI, blah, blah. Well, there's no such a thing as good designer, really. There's no exception. There's not such a thing as good designer. There's always a team that can be good. The other thing, you are not designer and you have good ideas, but you don't know how to communicate it. You're really afraid. It happens a lot. You usually, give up and move on, and the designer comes in and takes over, and you fail. But this is an example of a brainstorming, an engineer sitting with us, trying to kind of put down his idea on his post-it. We were all drawing things, but he wasn't able to draw, so he ended up writing things down. And when you write things down and put it on the board, nobody really cares about it because you don't see it. Who wants to read like a sentence about an idea, even if it is the best idea? So I encourage you to do whatever it takes to express your idea. A few months ago, I was working with a client that I showed you an example. They had an idea. They wanted to communicate with me. I made them draw it. Some engineers that are really bad at drawing, but I used that because it was a great way to communicate with them, and I understood what they want and what their point is. And together, we could actually end here, come up with an idea. Of course, I just use the skills, not much thinking. But where we got here, it couldn't be possible if they never actually communicated with me. If I was a little bit arrogant and would have said, oh, your drawings are not good, I don't get them, or I have this really, I can draw very nice, they would have been really scared to express themselves. So I encourage designers to let people express themselves if there are some designers here. And the people who are not designer, or they don't have that label of being a designer, just do whatever it takes to just show your ideas. Don't be embarrassed. There's another thing that you deal with a lot. Well, designers come to you with this idea, which is really cool, but seriously, it's really hard to build it. It's too complicated. They never even thought of, technical parts. Of course, they should make things simple and easy to use, or maybe you can stop being a jerk and make it happen. Well, going back to the way we look at design, the skills and the thinking. This quote that someone said it became a foundation to start a new international master's program in interaction design here in Estonia. I want to introduce you to this program, which was launched this year, and yesterday we had the first session. Some of our students are here. I'm also involved in the program. We decided that there's a need for good designers here in Estonia. There has been some conversation going on in the past couple of years. What we did, we formed a new program. We have 18 students today. We are hoping that we can train the next generation of interaction designers for the market here. Our 18 students are coming from very different backgrounds, because we believe in order to become a designer, you don't need to have design background. You could be a developer, you could be a fashion designer, you could be a manager, you could be a chef, anyone who comes into our program, as long as they show that they're interested and they understand that they need to develop the thinking and a skill at the same time, they would be successful, we hope. Our program is designed in a way that students learn design by doing. So we have different projects. We have basically 4 major projects for the 4 semesters that we have. We collaborate with industry. There's no teaching, there's no lectures, there's no exam. There would be some small ones from the Estonian Academy of Art, but our program doesn't have anything like traditional way of education. And I wanted to actually invite you to come to our program, talk to our students. Maybe there's a way we can collaborate with each other. We are not a traditional kind of a school. We are very open to meet new people and learn from you. At the same time, there would be a good opportunity for you to meet some of the future interaction designers. I want 5 of the students who are here today to stand up and show who they are. So maybe you can go and talk to them later. Please stand up if you're here. All right, my talk was about how to design without designers, so let's actually get on that. So, I'm writing a book with the help from Janno Sima. We are trying to understand what it means for non-designers to become designer. We have been working on it for a year. And this is one of the sketches that hopefully would be in it. The reason we haven't been able to get it out yet is because we are learning a lot and we are kind of evolving into what it is for non-designers to become designers. Or do we actually need to have non-designers come in and become designers? I'm going to share with you some of the secrets of designers so you may be able to use them to do the design yourself. Not really, but somehow work with designers in a much better way. The first thing about design and designers is that, by the way, some of the designers don't even follow that thinking. But like I mentioned, design can be about thinking and their skills. So we have designers that are very much focused on their skills, and some designers have the combination of both. What I'm talking about is more about the thinking. The first step in any kind of design challenge is to ask yourself why, rather than how. Someone comes to you and asks you, hey, can you actually design this thing for me? And you say, oh, yeah, I can come up with this idea. You just already have some ideas and done, Well, what if you ask why? What if you just pause for a moment and ask, Why do you need a website? Let's say you come to me and ask for a mobile device. I could just turn back and tell you, like, hey, you don't need a mobile, mobile app. You don't need a mobile app. Maybe you can just have like a booklet. Why do you need even to have your own company? Why do you need to have this startup? Why do you even have to work on that? So asking why is something that opens up new opportunities for you. So always ask why. This is how designers think. So there's a how and why. Go for the why. Of course, you can actually think of how when it is the right time. It is okay not to know what you're doing. It is really okay. We want to be always certain about things, especially if you are following the critical thinking, you always want to know what you're doing. This is my desk a couple of weeks ago. I was working on a project, and I really didn't know what I was doing. And I'm getting paid for that. So be comfortable with being confused and uncertain about things, because that is where the coolest stuff happens. It is really hard to actually go through that time where you don't know what you're doing, but if you get comfortable with it, I can guarantee that you would be very successful in when it comes to coming with innovative ideas. The other thing is that we always talk about user research, how we should think of people, do this kind of methodological kind of way to understand people. Well, even though we do user research, we end up, that's actually funny, we end up thinking about ourselves. We consider ourselves when it comes to making design decisions. So forget about yourself. You're kind of irrelevant when it comes to design. This is an example where we're trying to kind of understand how people drive cars. We went and talked to this lady. She was 82 years old. She couldn't even see anything. But we learned a lot of interesting things, which was like, wow, we didn't know what is going on. You have to go out and meet people and talk to them. But forget about yourself if you want to design something. Another important thing is that when you are designing something, you usually think of user needs. What users want, how to fulfill their desire or needs. Well, there's a deeper way you can look into your users, and that is to understand what they truly value. I'll give you an example. If someone comes and says, hey, this website you have designed, this button is kind of tiny, I don't even notice it. What that means is not that you have to make that button bigger. That means that your user really appreciates simplicity. So maybe you can rethink the whole layouts and make things much more simpler. Then you can even make that button smaller. I've done that myself. The other thing with being creative and being a designer is to come up with a lot of ideas. We always want this magic to happen with ideas. We want to have this really cool idea just coming to us all of a sudden. Well, it's not going to happen. The only way you can have good ideas is if you have lots of ideas, and then you can actually choose the best one out of them. This is how I would approach like any kind of feature on my design work. I come up with lots of ideas. Some of them are really bad, but I do it because this is the only way I can actually end the decision-making with a good idea. And we need to be comfortable with coming up with really bad, crazy ideas. This is something that many of us are not doing. We really want to be rational and think of really good ideas. Well, it is time to think of crazy ideas. So today, we are having a competition here. If you have your bag, there is a card inside it. If you don't have it, you can use any kind of paper or pen. We're going to have winners, and they're going to be awarded at the end of this talk. We want to see who can come up with the worst idea or the most stupid idea ever in this conference. And we want to recognize those people. The challenge is very simple. If you have that card, you can pull it out. Otherwise, you can use any kind of thing. Let's say you're sitting here, your phone is not on silence, and you receive a phone call. What would be the most stupid idea that you have to actually do in order to ignore that phone call? What you can do, you can actually take a picture of your idea and tweet it. Someone there is going to choose the winners by the end of this talk. But the whole purpose of this kind of exercise is to make you a little bit comfortable with coming up with the stupid ideas. So we want to see how stupid you can be. Please, welcome. I'll give you an example. This is what I did last night. You know, when your phone rings, maybe you should actually kind of smash it or do something stupid to it. Maybe you have to shout like loud in it. So ignoring a phone call, think of how crazy it can be that users have to do something really stupid in order to ignore that phone call. We have 10 minutes to think of that stupid idea. So the other thing designers are really good at is to be able to choose the best ideas, right? But the way designers do that is not by choosing ideas. It is by killing ideas. We are not very comfortable with letting ideas go. We try to always see which ideas are the best and somehow choose between the top 3 and then top 2 and then the final one. And this happens a lot because we try to choose the best ideas rather than killing ideas. That's because we really fall in love with our ideas. We think our ideas are like something that is for us, right? Ideas are like babies. 5 things you can do to ideas, but definitely not to babies. Number 1. Have lots of ideas. Don't worry about how they look like. That's the only way you can come with innovative ideas. Number 2. If you have a good idea, let people actually try it. Let people see if it works or not. Because if you keep it like your baby to yourself, nothing is going to happen. No one is going to tell you how bad that idea could be or how maybe good it is. So leave ideas outside and let people try them. Number 3. You don't own ideas. Even if you come up with the most innovative idea, be sure that someone somewhere has already had this idea maybe 10 years ago. There's not such a thing as ownership of ideas. As soon as you feel that you own something, that means that you are about to fail. My time is almost ending. I hope, because I started probably, I have like maybe 3 more minutes. Thanks. Don't fall in love with your ideas. Some of you work for the startups. You have an idea, you spend 5 years on it, and you eventually fail because you were in love with your idea. It's a harsh truth, but it happened to me too. And make sure you have many ideas, and then choose them by killing them. Okay. Another thing about design way of thinking is that you should always have fun. Always. This is a picture from our office. Not every day is like that, but these are 2 of the designers. I didn't ask them if I can put this picture here, but I hope it's okay with them. The other thing is that you really have to, like we mentioned something about putting your ideas out, but we kind of know that we need to do prototyping and user testing, but we tend not to do it, even designers. I really encourage you to get into putting things out and trying them, because you need to think with your brain, with your hand. There's so much you can actually handle in your brain. There's a lot you can do with your hands. So get your hands out and make things happen. We are kind of always afraid to share our ideas with others. We want to make them polished and finished, kind of perfect, and then we want to share it with others. The best way to share our ideas with others is when they are rough. These are actual sketches that I send to clients, and we start discussion about the features. Because if I send them a very nicely designed interface, they would not be able to give me the right feedback. So even if you're not a designer, you're able to do this. It's very simple. Up to here, everyone can do it. Of course, then it comes to this UI design, like coming up with cool colors and effects. Then you can actually hire a designer to do that for you, or work with that designer. But up to here, you can actually do this all yourself, and you don't need actually to hire a designer to do it for you. You can actually work with that designer. So you have like one idea here. Wow, cool. Okay, the last thing. That was a good one. Nice. So we are very critical when it comes to thinking. We want to kind of have evidence for decision making. And now everyone is looking there, no one is listening to me. Well, we happen to make decisions every day, big decisions. And we usually spend time in rationalizing our decisions. As a designer, you have to follow your heart. It has been times that we have spent like 2 months thinking about an idea, and there was a day we had to make a decision. We just felt this is going to work, and we went for it, even though everyone was saying that, oh, this is not going to be the right decision because there's no support in terms of evidence and numbers for that. OK, my conversation ends here, but I want to encourage you to get the confidence that you can be a designer, because we need more designers. We need more people to think and come up with new options in today's world. And design is not only for designers. You can be a designer as well. So I think we can actually choose the winner of the worst idea of Refresh 2016 now. I'm going to ask Jano to come here with the prizes and the names.
Cool.
I want to see who could come up with the most stupid idea. OK. Thank you. This is kind of cheating. We have Luis in the winners. Dario, you are the next, the third winner. Sorry. OK.
All right. Let's get on with it. We need to move along. So let's
So Phil Nash, please come here.
It's Phil. There you go, baby. Duncan.
Duncan, please.
There he is. There's the man.
Oh, here. Luis.
Thank you. It's a beautiful day. All right, we need to move on. We do need to move on, but thank you very much, Amit.
Thanks.
And any quick questions for Amit that we can... that's all right. All good. It was a fantastic talk. Thank you, Amit.